All right, welcome everyone. We are live, and I am so excited to be hosting the next Her Best Life live stream with the amazing and wonderful Ryan Major. Ryan, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for inviting me. I always love whenever I see little happy texts of like, "Hey, do you want to do?" I'm like, "Yes, yes, I do." What are we doing?
Good.
Yes.
Well, for all the viewers who are joining us, thank you so much for coming. This is our fourth week of talking to amazing businesswomen who are empire builders, who are working to build big businesses, but even bigger lives. And want to give you props for carving out 30 minutes to 60 minutes of your afternoon to learn with us from the amazing Ryan Major. And I cannot wait to tell you a little bit about her in a second. But for right now, if you're with us, please drop a comment. Tell us where you're tuning in from, where you're listening from. I am currently in New York City. My business is in Nashville. If there is a fire or an emergency vehicle truck, it will probably be happening in my square. Ryan is with us from Texas, and you're in Lindale today?
Yeah, I'm in Lindale. We have an office in Lindale. We have an office in Tyler, but that probably doesn't mean much to everybody. We're 90 miles straight east of Dallas. So we cover all of Northeast Texas from Dallas to basically the Louisiana line.
Love it. So
Yeah.
that's where we're coming from. We want to see where all of you are from. And while we're getting that, I do want to tell you a little bit about Ryan and the amazing business that she has built. Like she said, out of Tyler, Texas. I am from Texas. So, like the corner, think of the upper right hand corner, not the panhandle, but the edge of Texas. That's where Ryan and her team are. And she is leading an incredible real estate business. In 2025, last year, she and her team served about 119 families, generating around $750,000 in GCI. And that's about 31 million in sales volume, which is huge. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But what's most exciting is what it's March, and your team's already done half of that. They've already served 50 families so far this year, and something like 14 million. Is that right?
Yeah, of closed and pending. So if everything that's pending
Yeah.
closes, yeah, we're on pace to have a record-setting year, which is incredible because if you pay attention to what other realtors are saying, sometimes it's not so great. And so I think it's time for us to flip the narrative and decide what we're doing. So that's what we did.
So you did. You decided.
So we did.
You run an amazing team of 13 humans, and I know you'll walk us through a little bit about your story and how you got here, because the team has had a lot of people, little people, a lot of people. I mean, I know mine has done the same thing, so I totally get it. But right now, you're 13 strong, including agents and your admin. And when we were chatting before going live, one of the things that really stood out to me is the shift that you're making right now, Ryan, towards really focusing on what matters for you to do because of who you are and your strengths. And you're restructuring your role and what you're doing and focusing on, I think you said like 17 clients,
Yeah.
which I love, and we're going to talk about that later. But you're building the business your way now. So but let's go back all the
Yeah.
way to the beginning, because operating in your zone of genius and building a business around where you create the most value isn't always how we start. And so, like, let's give them the whole picture, and then we can dive into how you got here and what you really have learned and the results you're seeing from it. So take us back. How'd you get into real estate and build this
So
business?
yeah, I hope that the first part of this story will encourage some of our young moms because I was a young mom when I got my real estate license, like a lot of us. I wanted some extra spending money. And I think Wendy's story is she wanted to make what, like $20,000 or something.
Oh
I don't
yeah, it's easy.
remember.
Yeah.
But my story is that if we could add an extra 50K, we would be rich. And like it would be more money than we knew what to do with if I could add that to my husband's income and still be there for my kids. And so when we moved to this little bitty tiny town 12 years ago, I was 27 and I had a fourth grader and a 3-year old. And so my solution was I'm going to get my real estate license and we're going to figure that out. But the hardest part was that we're not from here. and I didn't know anybody. Like the only person I knew here was my husband, and he already had a house, and like I wasn't a realtor when he bought it. So or we bought it. And so it was this whole thing of how do I get plugged in into the community and what does that even look like? And so I literally um, joined a small mom and pop brokerage here in our town of three. It was about 3,500 people strong when we moved to Lindale. We're almost double that now. So our town has seen massive growth in the last decade. But I joined a mom and pop brokerage that was also very young as a brokerage. I didn't know that because you don't know what you don't know. And it looked like it was going to be great, and it was. And so joined that brokerage in 2015. In May, I believe, is when I got licensed, and I did 30 deals my first year, and or 15 deals that first 6 months, 30 deals my first full year, and then it has gone exponentially over and above what I could even ever imagine since then.
Well, hold
And
on. Pause for a second. That's huge. I know, like, right now we talk about 120 deals and 50 in 3 months and like 30 deals in your first year in a small market. Like, I want to double down on that. Like, 4,000 people in your town. That's
yeah,
huge. So, okay.
yeah,
That's a big business for a first year
it
agent. How'd
it
you do
was.
it? Where'd you go after that?
So if you can go back in your mind to 2016, like if we can remember those internet leads back then that were actually real humans that wanted to transact and buy a house, like they weren't always qualified and they weren't always great, ready to go, like hot leads, but they were like real humans. And I had the opportunity to be in a round robin phone situation with my brokerage, and I was very quick on the draw. That phone would ring, I would answer it. And I know that a lot of agents do that. But what I know that I did differently from some of my coworkers in the brokerage is that I was like a dog with a bone. Like if I had someone who wanted to transact, acted like maybe they knew of a house that they were going to sell, like maybe their aunt owned a house 30 years, like whatever it was, I was all in until they told me to go away. Like until they were like, please never call me again, or they bought a house. Like that's the only way it was ending. And then I was very out loud on social media, even back then. And that set the stage. I'll never forget my client that I showed the longest time before she bought a house, 4 years. Her name's Anne Marie. She's my friend on Facebook. She might be watching. I absolutely love her. She messaged me or called me or something off of my Facebook page in 2016 and was like, hey, you look like you're killing it. I would love for you to be my realtor. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but the perception out there was that I was killing it. So that was
Yeah.
great. So it all kind of worked together. And when I am excited about something and passionate about something, it becomes like all I think about, all I want to do. And that's what happened for me with real estate. It was what can I learn? What can I do? Whose feet can I sit at today and learn from them? So my mentor was my brokerage owner at the time. And we're actually doing 2 deals together right now. So it's fun. But I literally would just sit in her office and listen to her on the phone all day long. And I was absorbing the language of real estate without even knowing what that meant. We weren't at KW. I didn't know to do that. It just felt like what was the right thing to do. Like if you're going to learn about something or if you're going to do something, you have to get to your 10,000 hours as fast as possible. So like you got to get the hours in. So that's how it started. And then really just plugging in and going deep with some really awesome clients that helped build the top 17. So we'll get to all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so when did you start building a team? What did that look like? Walk
Yeah.
me to today.
Okay. So 2015 got licensed. 2016, I was rocking along, solo agent. I met one of my builders that I'm still in business with today that year and had the opportunity to serve a couple of his investors, not him, but like he got to watch me work. And so that relationship started to grow in order to develop into what the major team looks like today. That started 10 years ago. And so by 2019, um, I had found myself exhausted. So, like, you hear agents like, I'm so busy, but they've got all this leverage, right? Like, they've got an assistant, they've got a TC, they've got a social media person, and they've got 2 listings. Like, I don't know why they're tired, because in 2019 I did 52 sides with no help. And so it's hard for me to be empathetic in those moments, because I know it can be done and I know it will take everything from you. And so when I got to the end of 2019, I had found myself with a bit of a drinking problem. And as a proud member of KW Clarity, I will share as much as I feel comfortable with, in that, like, it's fine. So in October, I stopped drinking alcohol. And weird, like, when you work the whole day, instead of losing, like, how much I was doing that many sides, I wasn't working the whole day. So, like, that's crazy. But I was so tired. My body was tired. I ended up having to get a couple iron infusions at the end of that year. I had become anemic. Like, it was just dissolving me as a human.
Mm-hmm.
So I had met a friend of mine, or one of my friends, that we had grown up in the business together, been working alongside each other for years. She kept talking to me about leverage, and I'm like, I don't even know what that word means. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I can't hire somebody. And she's like, Ryan, yes, you can. And I'm like, but what if I don't have a closing and then I can't pay them? And like, I had all the reasons why it wouldn't work, but I had to do something. And so at the end of 2019, I put a job posting out on Indeed, and I started interviewing, and I think I was paying like $10 an hour. Like, it was awful. I kept interviewing all these people who were just never going to work for anybody. Like, I couldn't have been in business with them. They couldn't have ran my life. And I kept going to Bible study, and I kept asking my life group, can y'all just please pray that I find an assistant that, like, can run with me, or even like just help, right? Well, this young couple had come to our church about a month prior, and they started coming to our life group. And I hadn't really talked very much with them one on one, but after life group, about the third or fourth week of me crying about this, um, the wife messaged me, and she's like, I can do that job. And I'm like, great, do you want to meet tomorrow? And so we went to Starbucks, and I had unknowingly done exactly what you guys teach us in Her Best Life, which was write down all of the things that I didn't want to do anymore. Like, I didn't know you were supposed to do that, but it's what I did. And so I'm a big, huge fan of the legal pad. Like, still, there's 2 of them right here. And so I had front and back 3 or 4 pages. This is what I don't want to do anymore. And she looks at me and she's like, yeah, I can do all that. And she goes, can I bring my kid? And I'm like, I don't care. And then I said, will you work for $10 an hour? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, great. So that was Megan. That's how I got Megan. And everyone who's kind of in our world, Tiffany, knows that Megan is my business partner. She is my best friend. We run in tandem so fast. And we'll talk about a coaching call where I went a little mama bear about her. And I told my coach, without Megan, there is no major team. Like, straight up, like, the major team is Ryan and Megan. And so she came on in December of 2019. And then in 2020, I sat down with the Keller Williams team leader, and made the decision to leave to go to KW. I think it was like right of February, something, about the week before the world shut down.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I made my Facebook announcement, which, is like a huge deal. I was so nervous. This Facebook announcement that I'm leaving and going to KW. And it was like that posted, and then the next day we left for spring break, and then, like, while we were on spring break, the world shut down. And so, talk about being terrified. I was like, I just ended my business. Like, it's over. It's all over. The world is over. My business is over. I don't know anything about this new brokerage. I just left my entire support system at my old brokerage that grew me up and taught me all the things and whatever. And because it was COVID, and our brokerage was awesome, and that they went online with everything, Megan and I dug in and learned everything we needed to know about how to make this business grow. And she learned all the tech stuff and all the operation stuff. And I learned how to be a better salesperson, rather than just someone who has a fun personality and people want to work with. Like, I actually learned how to be strategic in serving my clients a little bit better, and now a lot bit better. And so that all happened in 2020. And that developer I had talked about earlier, he had asked me to be a part of his new subdivision when it launched. And by June of 2020, we had something like 11 houses on the ground, but we weren't allowed to do open houses, and it was all weird. but Texas opened back up at the end of June in 2020. And we held 11 houses open in one day. I'd never done that. Open houses had never really been a part of my business, but we knew we needed to do something to get activity into this subdivision of these houses that we'd had such a difficult time building anyway because we couldn't get anything. Like some of them didn't have power. Like it was just a disaster. So we decide we're holding all these houses open. I throw out into our agent forum, hey, I need help. All these agents sign up to come help me. We get to the end of the open house, and these two dudes who are like in their 50s walk up and they're like, so are you guys hiring? And we're like, yeah. And we hired them. And those were our two buyers agents that we hired. We had no plan. We had no business plan. We had no org chart. We hadn't finished the MREA. We didn't know what we were doing, but these two dudes wanted to work with us. And we had just rebranded everything hot pink. And so we're like, I guess we got to get these guys like some hot pink polo shirts. Like, I don't know. And so that's how the team was born. And that was in, I think our LLC for the major team was registered like June 23rd, 2020.
Yeah. Okay, so kind of just happened upon, I mean, like you didn't happen upon success. You worked hard, but
Yeah.
happened upon who you hired. And it sounds like you were kind of intentional with Megan's role of like, hey, this is what I'm not good at. So that's going to be you so that I can do these other things. But once you started growing the team, it kind of seems like the team kind of just grew organically versus intentionally. So
Yeah.
take us from that moment until today where you're making very intentional choices about the activities you're doing based around your strengths. So those guys just want a job and you're like, okay, I've got work for you, go do it.
Yeah.
How do we get to today where I'm only working with 17 people and I'm only doing this and I've got an amazing team who's crushing it?
Yeah, it's weird because success is not linear, even though we really, really want it to be. I've been told that I have a bit of a type A personality, but I don't know. I think I'm like a C, like where I don't know what I am. But I would love for success to have been linear. If you do this, then you get this, and you could very much track it. But for me, and for Megan, we are very fast decision makers and we are very fast executors. And so when we think we see the path, we just go. Like cutting horse analogy, because I know you have family that had cutting horses. When you're cutting a cow and you pick your cow and you've got to drive it up out of the herd, you can't be messing around. You just got to go. And that's how I lived my life early on in the team. Just go. And so we made some hiring decisions that I don't regret because I needed to have the lesson. Some of them were expensive, some of them were just emotionally costly, and then some of them were just not the right fit, right? Like sometimes it was a big catastrophe and sometimes it wasn't. But our team has been as big as 17 people. It's been as small as just me and Megan, and we've gone up and down a couple times over the years. And what I found to get to where we're at now, we had to grow really small so that we could reset to grow big and then be willing to stay in that like grow small to grow big mindset. Like my husband and I went to this mega church in Virginia when we lived there. And that was one of the things that our pastor would always say, you have to grow small to grow large, meaning you have to be intentional with your small groups of people when you're in this larger group of people. And so for Megan and I, making sure that we have a delineation of like, who's in charge of protecting the hearts and minds of this section of the business, who's in charge of these people, who's in charge of these people. And at the beginning it was like, well, Megan takes the ops and Ryan takes the agents because that made sense. But what we found was that I'm not great at that. I thought I would be. Like I love people and I'm great at this and I'm really like I'm good at engaging like a classroom, but like one-on-one coaching is really, really hard for me. And it can be a little bit of an emotional suck for me if I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. Like if I feel like we have this great conversation and then kind of like when you did that really awesome call with me and then we hung up and I didn't do anything about it. Like that kind of thing, like that.
And then you ignored me because you didn't want to say that you hadn't done anything.
For like 6 months. It was fine. I did it now. But yes, like that it hurts my heart because I can see the potential there. And I always hear everyone in our HBL world say like you can't want it more than they do. But it's kind of like for your kids, like you can see it. And so you know that it's in there and you're like if you would just trust yourself enough to tap into it. And so we had to figure out different roles, different things that our people needed from us. And so that helped by kind of paring everything back and going back to it just being me as the main salesperson. And then we added Rachel as a showing partner, who now she's an agent partner. And then, we've still had our admin staff. So Lyndon, our transaction coordinator, he's been with us 6 years. Our content creators coming up on 5 or 6 years. Like everybody's been with us a really long time on the admin side. So that part is rock solid. Like they speak our language. The agents are what have fluctuated the most over the years.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and one part of your story that I want to make sure we spend a little bit of time on is around, because it is the story of most empire builders,
mhm.
is you're great at your job, your business grows because you're great at your job, and then you've got to hire people and you've got to learn some lessons like you said about hiring people, and sometimes those lessons looks like crash and burns in your
Yeah.
business, and it's not a thing that a lot of, like, there's not a lot of stage time given to the year your business imploded, but it happens to so many of us that we have this experience. And I think the crash and burn often is the moment in time where we are forced to learn to operate in our strengths and to
Mhm.
build the business that matters. So walk us through that period of time of, okay, how did how did you learn the hard lesson that this was not going to be the way that you built your business?
So we grew really, really fast. I joined Empire Circle with HBL the year it started. So I'm an OG, whatever, EC member. And I am a hype girl and I will sometimes make decisions on vibes. And as hard as that is to admit as a business owner, like if it feels right, then I don't have a black hatter in me. Megan thankfully does have a black hatter. And it's getting louder as we grow, which is great. But she also can get hyped up a little bit. So we egged each other on in some of that of like we wanted to build something that had never been done before in East Texas. Like I would see what some of the other girls in EC were doing or some of the founders were doing and I'm like I want to do that. Like why can't we do that here? There's no reason we can't build a successful, profitable real estate team in the middle of nowhere with 5,000 people in the town. Like, of course that's going to work. And so I would start hiring and we would get into business with these people and like great people, but they just didn't want to work in that atmosphere because they got their real estate license because they wanted flexibility and they wanted time and they don't want to be micromanaged. And so that's why they left corporate America. And like, yeah, all of that's great, but it's not micromanagement, it's accountability. And so we had grown really, really big. We had bought a building. We had a 3-person ISA department. We had transaction, like it was massive. At that time, we were working in 3 different subdivisions with 6 different builders. And so we had all of this overhead between our staging and open houses, all the things. We're driving to Keller Williams Mega Camp in August of 2023. And I had just that week dropped my oldest daughter off at college. And so I was a little raw, which is probably not the time to make decisions that impact multiple people's futures. Um, but it is what it is. It's what happened. So we're driving to Mega Camp. I've got my laptop open. Megan's driving. We're flying down the interstate headed to Austin. And I'm looking at the P&L. And I look at Megan and I said, we don't have any money. Where's our money? Like, what's going on? My personal bank account, my husband and I's bank account was rupturing. Like, there was no money in the business, there was no money at home. But we had already sold 80 houses. So, like, I didn't understand. And I had personally sold 60 of them. And I really didn't understand that because I'm like, what are all these other people doing? Like, I don't know what they're doing because I'm out here doing all these deals and like, why? Like, what's happening? And so we started to really dig in and we started to look at the reality of what was really happening in our business rather than going off of this is how it feels or this is what we look like. We were actually looking at the numbers and we were seeing the reality of what was happening. What was happening was that we were distracted and we weren't paying attention to the bottom line for our business or for my family. And I just kept doing what I just thought if I just keep reinvesting, just keep going, it will turn. But it couldn't. It didn't have the foundation to make that turn. So we get to mega camp. We're sitting in the general session. It's like all about loving your business and living your life that you want to live and like all this stuff that should make you feel really good. And I got a migraine. And I look at Megan and I'm like, I'm going to the room. So I get up, I go to the room. I've never done that before. I'm the biggest FOMO girl you could ever meet. Like to miss a general session, like I'm not going to know what anybody's talking about the whole rest of the day. Oh, I didn't care. I went to the room. So we decided to blow up the team that day. And we put into motion blowing the team that day. Like that should not have happened. It should not have happened. And it will never happen like that again. I have learned a lot about becoming strategic and making moves that impact a lot of people and making sure that I have a plan. And so I will never do that again. However, I did it and here we are. And so it didn't go well, as you can imagine. It was really hard. And then the wheels kind of came off for me as a human all around that same time. So we had my oldest daughter left for college. My husband's father passed away. My Nana passed away. Our dog passed away. Like it was just like death and sadness, and work was stressful. And I retreated. Like I retreated so much so that like I'm thinking I'm coming out of it, but I'm still working through a lot of that. And it's been almost 3 years, right? Like that was August of 2023 when all of this started. And so we scaled all the way back to being our admin team and me and Megan. And so I believe we had one agent that hung out with us until about October, and then she left. And then we were only without someone else for maybe a month or two, and that's when Rachel came on. And funny thing about Rachel is that she had interviewed to be Megan and I's assistant like in 2021, and we made her the offer, and she said no. And like now that we've been in business with her for 3 years, she would have not been a good assistant, but she's a great agent. Like
So you made a good choice.
That was not a good fit. Well, she didn't take the job. We made her the offer, and
Oh
she
yeah,
didn't
that's
take the
right.
job.
So she knew. She knew.
Yeah, she was like, I don't think I can run with these girls like that. But it was great. And so we brought her on. I was able to alleviate some of my day-to-day pressure by having that showing partner to help out, because I mean, the business is still happening. Like the community still needs taken care of, right? They don't need to worry about what's going on with Ryan. Like they still need to have their homes sold. So we kind of hunkered down and just took a minute. And so all of 2024 was really kind of us taking a minute. And we interviewed, I did not. Megan interviewed a ton of people in 2024, like 130 people or something. And we made 2 offers, one to Rachel in that November, and then we hired Chris as another showing partner. I cannot ever remember people's start dates. And then about a year ago, so in March of 2025, we hired Kristen, who used to be a client who got her license and came to work for us. And so we slowly started to dip our toe like back into it, but I wasn't ready to hand off the business like I had done in the past. Like in the past, I was totally trusting and here's a lead, go do it. Here's a listing, go do it. Here, like I was just like, take it until it didn't work. And so it took me a minute to build the trust with them, with the team, and with myself to know that I was capable of making sure that the handoff was done correctly and that our accountability protocols were such that like we can make sure it gets done. Make sure these people don't get dropped. Like that's the worst thing that can happen is that a client not get the care that they need. And so
Right.
so that's how we started kind of dipping our toe back into growth. And then if we fast forward a little faster, in October of last year of 25, I think that's when it was. Megan can correct me, but we had a coaching call with our two coaches. So her coach and my coach and me and Megan. And it was probably one of the hardest Zoom calls I've ever sat in. I think we went for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and it was just like hammering and hammering questions, not because they were like upset with us or we were in trouble, but they were really trying to pull out of me what I wanted. Because at that point, it was like either we go back and Ryan's a solo agent, or we go all in and we build this thing the right way. And Megan and I left that call, and she's listened to it like 3 times. I listened to half of it again and I couldn't, like, it was stressed me out. But she's like, she could probably verbatim tell you everything that happened. And we got to the end of that call, and both of us took a minute to kind of think through it and figure it out. And our energy changed. And I had made this post of like, if you're thinking about getting out of real estate, send me a message. Okay, well, I got all these messages, but it wasn't people that wanted to get out of real estate. They just wanted to do it differently.
Mm.
And they were just tired, and kind of like how I was in 2019, they needed help. And so we've had some amazing conversations with agents with really big businesses about coming on to the team and what does that look like. And then we've had some that have come over, and it's been awesome. And just because we literally had a perspective shift, our energy changed around it, and we allowed ourselves to be open to the possibility. And I'm still not really comfortable with dreaming again. Like I'm not comfortable letting myself have these like flighty visions, because I need to see the strategy to get there. Like that's the main difference, is that like before it was like, oh, I'm gonna sell 1,000 houses, like whatever. That doesn't matter. What matters is we're profitability focused. We're making sure that there's clarity around the roles on the team and who's doing what and all of that. And just giving these humans that have trusted us with their businesses the opportunities that they came for. Like they came for these opportunities. And so I'm actually like handing it to them. It's working.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so let's talk about that. Like let's dig into this whole concept of, all right, these are my 17. You know, based on your strengths, why did you choose this? And then what does that open up for the other people in your world now, because you're focused on operating within your strengths?
so one of the things that I absolutely love, like it lights me up, is development. If you had asked me 10 years ago, I would have been like, no, I'm a farm and ranch girl. Like I was raised on a ranch. I just want to sell ranches and it's going to be great. Ranches are awesome. I love them. I love them even more when I can chop them up and turn them into a development. And I know that my dad, if he's watching this, is like, is what it is. But but I love it. I love going onto a piece of property with my developers, looking at the road frontage, starting like I can help them envision it. And we go from raw land all the way through the subdivision process, where we have the new builds and then we get the resale. And so it's insulated our business in a way that I couldn't have planned for, and it happened very naturally. People are always like, how did you get the builders? It's the same way you get any like loyal client, right? Like they trust you once and they trust you again, and you go deep in the relationship and you give them a reason to keep trusting you. And then you become an integral part of their business, just like they become an integral part of yours. And so, what I realized about 4 years ago, I was looking at numbers and I'm like, I have 10 clients that do 5 or more deals a year with me. Like they may not have 5 closings, but we'll have between listings and closings, like at least 5. And then I was like, okay, but like then this client gave me this client, and that client does 3, and then this client gave me, and that client does 5. And like, so we started adding it up, and I was like, okay, I have a top 17. Like these are my VIPs. And I started saying at the event in Nashville, I wrote down on my paper, we had to write our whatever the thing was that I was going to get out of resale by the time I was 45. And I walked over to Megan and I handed her my paper, and she was like, "Bleh." I might have said 40 on the page. Like I might have written 40, but I think it was 45. I don't remember. We're going to go with 45 because I'm not 40 yet. So it gives me more time. But I started playing with this idea of like, what would it look like if I only worked with these 17 people? Like, how would that change my day to day? Like, would I still be able to attract the resale business for my agents so that they're taken care of? And I know that our marketing is the best in town. So like, I want those people to have the opportunity to still work with our team and work with me, but not with me as their only person.
Yeah, of
And
course.
so we started playing with this idea. And in January, I just started doing it. Like I just started like, this person's not on the list, like a bouncer, like you're not on the list. You go to Kristen, you're not on the list. You go to Jesse. Like it literally, we just started doing that. And we looked at the tracker last week and Megan was like, hey, the agents have more under contract than you. And I was like, oh my God, it's working. Like instead of being like pissed like I would have been before, I was literally like, it's working. Like this is so great. And so the top 17 model for us is literally if I only get to talk to these 17 people, I know that the engine that runs the base of the business is safe.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it we get to grow. And so it's almost like we have two lanes running together. And so that's why we did it. And it's been really scary and really fun.
Well, and I think the thing that's great about it is it's what you're good at, but it's also what you love. So it's this like intersection
Yeah.
because you're probably good at resale. You
Yeah.
probably could do a great job at it, but that's not where your strengths and your love align. And so I think that's so great. And it is scary. And so you were talking about this a little bit before as well. So tell the listeners, well, actually, listeners, let me talk to you for a quick second. When you hear Ryan say, like, I'm not going to work in resale by the time I'm 45, like, I would love to hear or for you to think right now or throw into the chat, like, what's the thing in your business that you want to stop doing that isn't, maybe you're great at it, but it doesn't align with what you love to do in your business. So, or maybe you're not great at it and it doesn't align with what you love to do in your business. So, like, think for a second, what is something as you're watching and listening to the rest of Ryan, like, what is something in your business that you shouldn't be doing anymore? And throw that in the chat or send us a DM. Like, I would love to know and support that because this scary decision that you made, Ryan, like, how did community factor into your ability to do this thing, to be brave and do the thing that felt scary, but you knew was right for your business?
So when you realize that you're the bottleneck in your own business, it sucks. Like that's a really hard thing to look at when you're like, oh, so the reason we didn't get that listing is because I didn't call her back, right? Like that was a me thing. And it's not like our client care rep didn't call her back. Like our client care rep didn't even know she was supposed to because I didn't do my part of the job. And so we started seeing that happening over and over and over. And I had brought this idea, I brought it to Megan. She took it to her ops group, which she's part of an ops group that's very similar to Empire Circle for ops, which is great. So she does that. So she took it to them and she's like, how do we do this? Um, I took it to the circle and people being like, yeah, that's great. Of course you can do that. And I'm like, wait, I can do that? Like literally having someone tell you, you own the business. Like this is your company. You get to decide what you do. Like that was such a mindset shift for me. I had no idea. Like you know that you built it, but then you're like, I don't want to like make people mad or do this wrong or have someone who's like, oh, well, this this spreadsheet says that this is the next rung on the ladder. Um, and so having my friends give me permission to do what I like has been really cool. And like when I say the words like, I just really don't want to sit at a sticky kitchen table and talk to people about grandma's curtains. Like I want to talk to them about their investment like it's an investment. And that's what I mean when I say like I love new construction because of that. It's because we can be strategic around the numbers and there's way less emotion involved because I do see us as wealth advisors in real estate and so I want to help them get there. Um and sometimes when it's a highly emotional situation, they have a hard time with that. And then like I want anyway. So that's my reasoning. Um, but having my friends tell me I had permission to even think that way was really cool. And then like helping me put the pieces in place and helping me wrap my mind around trusting the people that I've hired to do the job, right? Like I hired them for a reason. It like we don't hire off of vibes anymore. Like we hire off the job description. And so if they're fitting the job description, like I know that they can do it. It might take some more training. It might take a lot of hand holding when things happen, but they're getting there. And every time they handle a hard situation, they get better and they learn more. And so someday they won't need as much help. And that'll be great because then they can run in tandem with me. So yeah, having the community say, yeah, let's go, and then showing me how they've done it in different ways has been really cool. Like having people who understand what it's like to do this thing, this like wife, mom, business owner thing is massive.
Yeah. Because you've been in the circle for the highs, the lows, back to the highs, different lows. Like, which point do you think it's been most impactful to your big business or your big life in your story?
There was a time when I was retreating, and one of our EC members, Nancy, called me and she's like, "Where are you at?" And I'm like, I was in the parking lot of Academy. I'm like, I'm in the parking lot of Academy. She's like, that's not what I mean. Like, where are you? Like, what is going on? And she lives in New Jersey. It's not like she saw me and that I looked sad or whatever. She felt me retreating and she cared enough to call me. There have been so many times like that where it was dark and somebody picked up the phone. There have also been times of great joy where people have called me to celebrate. There have been things that I've had questions about, and like personal things and business things and mom things and wife things and friend things. And like there's literally so many times over the last 5+ years that we've been doing this together that like has literally changed. Like it's become such an ingrained part of my life that like if it's ever an issue on the budget, it just has to move. Like it's not leaving, it just has to move. And so and as a collective, like Megan and my husband both agree, stays. Like that for me, it's a non-negotiable. And so it's there have been hundreds and hundreds of times.
Well, and that's a huge statement of your business partner who doesn't participate and your husband have who you leave 4 times a year to in like say no, this is non-negotiable. Why? Like tell me more about that. What for them makes Her Best Life and Empire Circle so important to them that you participate?
So for Megan, it's tangible. It's we got this many referrals this month. Like it's literally like the business made this amount. This was the ROI on the business. But she's also my best friend. And so when I am hurting or when I am happy or when I like, she knows that when I leave on those trips and I come back, I'm ready. Like I'm ready to go. When we went to the trip in January to the Dominican Republic, it was not the time to go. I did not need to leave the country. I did not need to spend $1. Like it was not the time. And I went anyway. And when I came back, it was the best decision that I made because it helped solidify the changes that were already in progress in the business. So that was really cool. And then on my husband's side, he has come now to well, every one that the husbands get to go to the goal setting retreats. And he has seen the group in action, and he has seen the way that the the way that we fire each other up, the way that we coach each other. He's listened to calls where someone is like poking holes in every plan. He got to cook for us when we had a pop-up event at our house. He made everybody the best chicken sandwiches in the whole world. And he came outside as we had the whiteboard by the pool and we were poking holes in someone's business plan in the pool. And he's like, y'all are so weird, but this is so great. And so he knows exactly like how much it has brought me joy, but it's also brought me education. It's brought me confidence. Um, there's the way I move through the world in a transaction is completely different than it used to be. Um, I've learned to take ownership of my place in the business without being like dumb about it, without being like, do you know who I am? Like it's not that, but it's like, yeah, I want to help. Like, I, let me help you. Like I can show you how to do this. And so that's been really cool.
Yeah. So freedom being the goal. I know for everybody listening, this is one part of our freedom formula, learning to operate in your strengths. So if you are like, I want more freedom to be like Ryan and do the stuff that you love in your business, or freedom in all kinds of different parts of your life. If you want your business partner to be like, yeah, you need to go on these trips with your girlfriends 4 times a year, like that's what freedom sounds like to me. Comment strengths, DM us the word strengths, and we'll send you our freedom formula plan that we have that outlines all the different steps towards that. And Ryan, you've done a killer job today talking about and really kind of painting the picture of what's possible when you focus on where your love and your strengths align in your business and allow other people to do that. So I want to leave them with one more thing. So talking to the people who are listening who maybe were like you 4 years ago or 5 years ago, where you're like, we're just going to grow and this is the way you grow, versus where you sit now. Like, what do you wish you could go back and have told Ryan when those guys came up and said, do you want to, are you hiring? What wisdom would you want to impart to her, to yourself 5 years ago?
So I hope that my first real estate coach is watching this, and I hope that she is not watching this. Um, because I have a call with her tomorrow. She used to teach me to practice the pause like every day. She'd be like, Rye, you got to slow down. You got to slow down. You got to slow down. She was my coach during the early years of the team. And she's coaching me around some other stuff now, not even business related. And I would say slow down. One of the things that I am still very much have the opportunity to learn is to sit with things before I make decisions. So just like take a minute and like really take a minute and say, okay, if we do this, am I gonna, you don't know if you're gonna like it or if you're not gonna like it, but you can have an idea. And um really, really, really take the time to ask people who have done it before you. Like if you're thinking about adding an agent, if you're thinking about making your first hire, like call someone that you trust or call me, I don't care, and ask me like, what do you do? How do you know? Like people always want to know how I got Megan. How did I know she was the right fit? I didn't. I took a risk. But it wasn't a big risk, right? Because like worst, if it doesn't work, just pivot. Like start over. Don't be afraid to scrape it all and start over faster than we did, because it'll save you a lot of money and a lot of emotional distress.
I love that. Well, Ryan, thanks so much for spending some time and sharing your story. I think as humans, our stories are what we have to share with the world. It's a huge part of it. And so your willingness to talk about the good and the bad and all the things that you learned has helped me today, I know for sure. And I'm sure of all the people who are watching as well. And if you are watching and you think, man, that was good. Man, this is just the beginning. This is just a little scratch at what we do at Her Best Life. Make sure that you follow us, and we'll continue bringing conversations like this with incredible women who are building big businesses and even bigger lives. So we will see you next week on the next Her Best Life.